Abd al Qadir al Jilani, From Hardship to Divine Grace in Sufism. The story of Abd al Qadir al Jilani is one of profound transformation, a journey from humble beginnings and severe hardship to becoming one of the most revered spiritual figures in Islamic history. Through unwavering devotion, rigorous discipline, and divine favor, he transcended worldly trials to embody the true essence of Sufism, the purification of the heart and the attainment of closeness to God. This narrative explores his life, the miracles attributed to him, his enduring works, and the legacy he left behind, offering a glimpse into the path of divine grace he walked. Abd al Qadir al Jilani, the Saint of Baghdad. Abd al Qadir al Jilani, Arabic 1077 to 1166 CE, was a Persian-born Islamic scholar, Hanbali jurist, and Sufi saint who lived in Baghdad, Iraq. He is best known as the founder of the Qadiriyya Sufi Order, one of the most widespread and enduring spiritual paths in Islam. Born in Gilan, present-day Iran, he traveled to Baghdad in search of knowledge and spiritual development, eventually becoming one of the most respected and influential religious figures in the Muslim world. He is celebrated for his balance between Sharia, Islamic law, and Tasawwuf, Sufi mysticism, his ascetic life, humility, and the numerous karāmāt, miracles, attributed to him. His teachings continue to influence millions across the globe through his books and spiritual legacy. Abd al Qadir al Jilani and the blessing of karāmāt, miracles. When did his karāmāt begin? The karāmāt, miraculous gifts, of Abd al Qadir al Jilani became publicly known when he was about 50 years old, around the year 1127 CE. This marked the period when he began publicly teaching and preaching in Baghdad after spending many years in spiritual seclusion and rigorous training. While some signs of divine favor and insight appeared earlier in his life, it was only after decades of spiritual purification, hardship, and obedience that these miracles were witnessed widely by the people. Types and examples of karāmāt. Revealing hidden thoughts. He was frequently able to tell people their innermost thoughts, sins, or secrets without them speaking. Witnesses claimed he would answer their questions before they were even asked. Healing the sick. Many people suffering from physical and mental illness were healed through his dua, prayers, sometimes even without physical contact. Command over jinn and animals. He was reported to have had control over wild animals and jinn, spiritual beings. He could summon and command them with a word. Speaking multiple languages. Audiences from different lands reported that he spoke in their native languages, Arabic, Persian, Turkish, etc., without having studied them, sometimes simultaneously. Walking on water. Multiple accounts mention that he was seen walking across the Tigris River, either to avoid crowded crossings or to demonstrate the power of tawakkul, trust in God. Protection from harm. Would-be assassins, envious rivals, or hostile political figures tried to harm him, but weapons failed, or the attackers fell unconscious, were paralyzed, or repented on the spot. Provision of food and resources. During times of famine, he and his students often had no food. He would pray, and food would appear, or one piece of bread would feed many, indicating divine barakah, blessing. His life of hardship and spiritual trial. Early life and upbringing. Born in 1077 CE in the region of Gilan. Lost his father at an early age and was raised by his pious mother, who played a central role in encouraging his religious upbringing. At 18 years old, he asked for permission to go to Baghdad to pursue Islamic knowledge. His mother sewed 40 dinars into his clothing and gave him a farewell advice. Always speak the truth, no matter the cost. Trials on the journey to Baghdad. On his journey to Baghdad, bandits attacked his caravan. When questioned by the robbers about whether he had any money, he replied honestly that he had 40 dinars sewn into his clothes. Shocked by his truthfulness, the bandit leader repented, realizing that the boy's integrity exceeded his own life of crime. This incident is often cited as the beginning of his spiritual influence. Life in Baghdad and years of poverty. In Baghdad, he faced extreme poverty. He often slept in abandoned mosques, old ruins, or open courtyards. He would go days without food, surviving on grass and leaves. Despite the loneliness and hunger, his heart remained anchored in trust. As he once said, "Do not feel distressed if the people abandon you, for perhaps Allah wants to draw you to Himself." This sense of divine companionship carried him through even the darkest nights. Spent 25 years in spiritual seclusion, wandering the deserts of Iraq, surviving on water and herbs, focusing on dhikr, remembrance of God, night prayers, fasting, and Quranic recitation. He actively fought against his nafs, ego, and temptations to purify his soul. As he later reflected, "I was tested by Allah for 25 years. During this time, I lived in the ruins and deserts, and I faced humiliation and hardship. Only through Allah's help was I able to endure." This endurance forged the inner strength that would later define his spiritual authority. A famous karāmāt, the vision of light. This is one of the most iconic stories of Abd al Qadir's life, showing his discernment and obedience. During one of his extended retreats, a magnificent light appeared in the sky, accompanied by a voice that said, "O Abd al Qadir, I am your Lord. I have lifted your obligations. You no longer need to pray or fast." Without hesitation, he replied, "Silence, O cursed one. You are Shaitan." The light immediately vanished, and the voice admitted, "You have been saved because of your deep knowledge and spiritual vigilance. I have deceived many worshippers before you." Abd al Qadir said, "Even in such moments of ecstasy, I would never abandon the sunnah of the Prophet." This karāmāt shows that his greatest miracle was not the vision, but the ability to see through falsehood and remain grounded in knowledge and obedience. More karāmāt from traditional sources. 1. Feeding a starving crowd. During a famine, a group came to him hungry. He prayed, and miraculously, loaves of bread and meat appeared, enough for everyone present. 2. Silencing a snake. A snake once slithered into one of his classes. He calmly told it to return from where it came. The snake turned around and disappeared. 3. Repentance of sinners. Many people who came to mock or challenge him were overwhelmed by his spiritual presence and broke down in repentance, often changing their lives completely. 4. Barakah in food. A single loaf of bread blessed by him could feed an entire group of students, showing signs of divine provision, barakah. His major works. 1. Futuh al-Ghayb, Revelations of the Unseen. 78 sermons on the spiritual path, focusing on sincerity, detachment from the world, and closeness to Allah. 2. Al-Fath al-Rabbani, the Divine Opening. 62 sermons delivered in Baghdad, emphasizing ethics, inner purification, and the dangers of pride and hypocrisy. 3. Qadir al Qadir, the Removal of Cares. Spontaneous discourses on divine love, spiritual struggle, and the illusions of the world. 4. Qadir al-Taliban, Sufficient Provision for Seekers of the Truth. A practical manual for spiritual seekers. It includes fiqh, theology, and Sufi ethics. 5. Malfuzat, Collected Sayings. Short, wise sayings remembered and transmitted by his disciples orally and later in writing. Quotes from his works. Be with God as if there were no creation, and be with creation as if you had no self. Futuh al-Ghayb. Your outer form must be with people, but your heart must be with God. Qadir al Qadir. True knowledge is what removes you from your ego and brings you nearer to your Lord. Al-Fath al-Rabbani. Do not be deceived by miracles. Seek the one who gives them. Qadir al-Taliban. A Sufi is not the one who wears wool, but the one who is sincere and detached from the world. Abd al Qadir al Jilani was a spiritual giant whose life was defined by truthfulness, humility, and devotion. His karāmāt became known after decades of hardship and spiritual discipline. His miracles were never used for self-promotion but were signs of divine nearness and blessings. He authored numerous timeless works that continue to guide seekers. He taught that even abandonment and pain could be a divine invitation. Do not feel distressed if the people abandon you, for perhaps Allah wants to draw you to Himself. Sufism in the Muslim world, acceptance and perspectives. Sufism remains an important and widely embraced spiritual tradition within Islam. The majority of Muslims appreciate and practice Sufi teachings and rituals, especially in regions such as South Asia, North Africa, and the Middle East. However, some groups, notably among Salafi and Wahhabi communities, reject many Sufi practices, viewing them as innovations, bid'ah. Sunni views on Sufism. Within Sunni Islam, Sufism has a long and respected history. Many Sunni scholars and saints, including Abd al Qadir al Jilani, have shaped influential Sufi orders. Most Sunni Muslims accept Sufism as a valid spiritual path aimed at purifying the heart and growing closer to God. Still, some Sunni factions oppose certain Sufi customs on theological grounds. Shia views on Sufism. Sufism is also integral to many Shia communities, particularly Twelver and Ismaili Shia. Shia Sufi practices often harmonize with the veneration of imams and emphasize esoteric and mystical interpretations of Islam. The life of Abd al Qadir al Jilani teaches us that true spiritual elevation often arises through enduring hardship with patience and sincerity. His story is not merely one of miraculous events but of a soul refined through trial, guided by knowledge and anchored in obedience. As he wisely said, "A time will come when you will realize that everything that left you was actually a mercy." As the founder of the Qadiriyya Order, his teachings continue to inspire millions to seek a deeper connection with God through sincerity, humility, and love. His journey from hardship to divine grace remains a beacon for all spiritual seekers navigating the complexities of faith and